Hey, what's up, everybody? True Boxing here. Thank you for coming back to get hit with the truth. So today we're doing the breakdown video for the Gervonta Davis versus Hector Luis Garcia WBA regular title fight, which is taking place on Saturday, January 7th in the main event of a Showtime pay-per-view card. So this is the Davis versus Garcia is on video. I mean, breakdown video, I'm sorry. And it's a pretty good lightweight matchup, but we all know it's a prelude to the already agreed upon Gervonta Davis and Ryan Garcia showdown that's projected for like April or May. You know, April was the strong working date last time I checked. And, you know, I'm pretty excited. I think everybody's pretty excited about that potential showdown right there between Ryan and Tank. But Tank's got to get through Hector Luis Garcia first, and I don't think that's going to be an easy task. You know, I really don't. And as easy as people are looking at it, I don't think Garcia is just another tune-up guy. So, you know, we're going to jump into it as we do with our breakdown videos. We discuss, you know, as I said, I discuss the matchup right now and what's going on and what's surrounding the fight, but I break down each fighter. The same questions on both sides. First, like what they've done coming into the fight, and then I ask the same questions, the same 5 questions on both sides, and then is it better for boxing if one or the other wins, and then finally my prediction. So let's jump right in. And in a title fight as this, I always start with the champion first, and then the challenger. Doesn't matter who's the favorite or the underdog there. In non-title fights, it's always the favorite and then the underdog. So we start with Gervonta Tank Davis, the reigning WBA regular champion at 135. So Davis coming into this fight, still undefeated, you know, still showing his power, you know, in his last 3 fights, all 3, well, 2 of them by knockout. They date back to June of 2021, so he's been pretty active in the last year and a half heading into this fight. He moved up to 140 and stopped Mario Barrios that night in a really good fight, really close fight. He stopped him in the 9th round, I believe, as Barrios, or it might have been the 11th. Barrios finally gassed out, and Davis finished him off. Then in June of 2021, I mean in December of 2021, he would take on Isaac Cruz and had a tougher than expected bout there. They went toe-to-toe, really good battle. Davis did just enough to win a close unanimous decision, but there were some people that thought Cruz should have won. Davis apparently broke his hand in that fight. That's why he says he didn't finish him off. A lot of people were desiring a rematch. Didn't happen. And then in June of last year, Davis took on Rolando Romero, or Rolly, whatever you want to call him, and what was a pretty good scrap. Davis was having trouble figuring Rolly out, and until finally the 6th round, as he was very patient, he scored a monster, I think it was a left, and stopped Rolly Romero to retain his lightweight title at 135. So he heads into this one against Garcia confident, knowing that he's got the biggest fight of his career on the horizon with Ryan Garcia. And I think he's, you know, this might be a mistake opponent, but I don't think Davis is looking at it like that. But the first question on the board is, what kind of fight does Davis need to have in order to beat Hector Luis Garcia? Well, he's given up almost what he's going to be giving up with Ryan when this fight happens. Surprisingly, even though Hector Garcia is moving up from 130, the guy is 5'9", so he's tall. 5'9" to Tank's 5'5.5". So he's given up a 3.5-inch height advantage. But surprisingly, Tank has a 1/2-inch arm length advantage, so he won't be giving that up. So if Tank gets on the inside, it's not going to be, you know, this guy's arms are longer. But he is going to have to, and he's also, you know, and Garcia's also another southpaw. So he's going to, you know, that's not anything he hasn't, you know, he's faced southpaws before, but you're definitely fighting a mirror image, which it could be easier, it could be harder. Just depends on how you look at it, with Tank being a southpaw as well. But You know, Garcia is an undefeated guy who's hungry also. And, you know, Davis, in my opinion, needs to bust him up and definitely try to win rounds, because Garcia is, from what we've seen, he is a good fighter. I mean, he took on Chris Colbert, who's a very good boxer. He completely dominated Colbert for 12 rounds. Now, a lot of people think Colbert was overlooking him, myself included, but Garcia proved against Roger Gutierrez as well that he can win a clean decision over a banger. So this guy's about winning rounds. He's not a big power guy either. So, you know, I think he's in here to win rounds. So Davis needs to make sure he's winning rounds and not just assume he's going to score a knockout here, because Hector Garcia can box and he can fight. So it's going to be interesting to see how Tank proceeds in this fight. But I think it's just the effective aggressiveness. I think he needs to get in there. He needs to box and punch. He needs to show why he's the bigger puncher, why he's the lightweight in this fight, fighting a junior lightweight. So he needs to impose his will, and he probably needs to take a little bit of risk, because, you know, we know that Garcia is not a huge power puncher. We know that. I think he needs to try to get in there and bust him up a little bit, wear down the body. That way in the second half of the fight, he could kind of take it over. But again, it's going to be an interesting matchup. It really is. Now, can Tank win by knockout? I mean, I think we all assume that he can. I mean, Garcia, we've never seen him hurt, and he's never lost a fight, but he's also moving up from 130. Tank's the power puncher here. So absolutely, I think Tank, I mean, we would assume, and I'm going to assume, that Tank can win this fight by knockout, yes. Can Tank win a decision? Yeah. To be honest, I just don't think he's going to overwhelm anybody, overwhelm Garcia with a decision win. You know, I think a decision is possible, but I think it could be close, you know. Tank, to me, has not shown that he is a dominant boxer, and, you know, he's definitely been a strong puncher, but you also have to look at the circumstances of the fights, of the certain fights. You know, the Leo Santa Cruz fight, that was a great knockout of the year for me. But in all fairness, Leo, that was his 4th different weight class that he had moved to. Tank was the much naturally bigger man in terms of body size and everything. So Tank laid him out. No surprise there, in my opinion. But those are factors into it. It's not just, you know, they're running along the same parallel. They're not. There's a naturally bigger man in the ring. Mario Barrios had to suck down to 140. You know, he's he should be fighting at welterweight. A lot of people were like, well, Tank's better than Keith Thurman because Tank stopped Mario Barrios and Thurman couldn't. That's unfair. Barrios was sucking down to 140, and 147 he wasn't sucking down to. So Thurman got a clean, dominant decision, but didn't stop him. But Tank did stop Barrios. Well, Barrios, maybe he was worn out because of the size difference, or because he's sucking down to 140, and that's harder for him to do, you know? And that was a very close fight. The Isaac Cruz fight was very close. Rolando Romero was in the fight before the knockout. People need to understand, at some point, Tank's going to fight a good fighter that can take his shots, and then we're going to see how good he really is. So I'm just throwing that out there, letting everybody know to think outside the box a little bit and give credit where credit is due to a guy like Hector Garcia who can box. So, you know, a decision is not going to be easy in my opinion, but Tank can win a decision. Now, what does a win here mean for Tank? Well, it means a lot in terms of his overall resume. It's going to be about along the lines of the names he's been fighting, which they're not terrible fighters. They're solid. And Garcia's a solid fighter at 130. But it's going to lead to the Ryan Garcia fight. So it means everything for Tank to win this fight, because it's going to lead to the biggest fight of his career. So that makes it a big deal. What does a loss mean for Tank? A loss really hurts him. It really would hurt Tank right here. Be the first of his career, and against the guy that people aren't expecting him to lose to. So that would really hurt him, and he definitely does not need a loss right now. So now let's switch it over to the undefeated WBA super featherweight champion, Hector Luis Garcia, and break him down. Coming into the fight, he's undefeated. You know, I want to say he's, I didn't look at his overall record, my mistake on that one. I know he's undefeated though. His last 3 fights, he defeated back in 2021, Isaac Avalar by unanimous decision over 8. Then he got the assignment to fight Chris Colbert back in February, and he dominated Colbert over 12 rounds. Dominated him. Colbert was supposed to fight Roger Gutierrez, and he ended up fighting Hector Luis Garcia on short notice, and Garcia absolutely dominated him over 12 rounds. One-sided decision, and that locked him up for the mandatory WBA title shot. So then in, I believe it was August, on Showtime, he took on Roger Gutierrez and dominated Roger Gutierrez over 12 rounds as well. To completely outbox him. Gutierrez had his moments, but he outworked him, outboxed him, outclassed him, and captured his first world title. So he's heading into this one. His world title's not even on the line. He's going into this one with, as the underdog, as the B-side, but he's looking at it like, you know what? I have nothing to lose here. I really don't. You know, and I think that's the mentality he's going in with, you know, that he's moving up in weight to fight a big star like Davis, and he's going to have his world title locked in no matter what, win or lose. So I think he's going into this one knowing that he should have the nothing to lose kind of attitude. Even though losing his first fight, you know, yeah, that would suck, but still, he's got a golden opportunity here, and I think he's very hungry. Now, what does he need to do to win this fight? Absolutely, he needs to use his height advantage heading in. You know, in order to beat Tank, I think using the height advantage and using a jab, and he's a solid boxer. He's shown that in his victories over Colbert and Gutierrez. So, you know, Tank needs to be aware of the jab and figure out Garcia's jab if Garcia does jab. He also needs to throw the short right hook as Tank's coming in. You know, that would be a good punch for him. But, you know, it definitely just used the height advantage. I mean, he tries to duck down and get on Tank's level when he has a 3.5-inch height advantage. It would just be such a mistake. Use that height. Josh Warrington just showed us last weekend on the 10th that, you know, if you use your height, you can win, but he didn't in that fight against Luis Alberto Lopez, you know? And I really think Garcia, his best bet is to box Tank and use the height advantage. That's my opinion. Can Garcia defeat Tank Davis by knockout? Tank's shown a solid chin to this point. He hasn't fought too many big name punchers, but he's fought a couple guys who can bang. The way I've seen Garcia, he's not a big power guy. He's more of a boxer. I don't think he can knock out Tank. I mean, anything can happen, of course. You know, you never know. You can get caught with one shot, and you can have a great chin and still get hurt. So I guess that is possible, but I really don't think he's going to beat him by knockout. Can he win a decision? You know what? I think he can beat Tank by a decision. I think with his height advantage and his boxing ability, I think he might be able to pull off the upset here and beat Tank Davis. So I guess it wouldn't surprise me if he got a decision. Now, what does a win mean for Hector Luis Garcia? I mean, it means everything. A win would turn him into a star overnight. He's already thrown himself into the mix out of nowhere by beating Chris Colbert and Roger Gutierrez and become a world champ at 130. To defeat Tank at 135 just sets up potentially a rematch with Tank or something else. So it's, you know, it just makes him a serious player in maybe the best division or deepest division in boxing at lightweight at 135. So yeah, it would be huge. A victory over Tank Davis, huge. What does a loss mean for Hector Luis Garcia? You know, outside of losing your first fight, which of course sucks for any fighter, outside of that, he really doesn't have, you know, he should have that mentality of I have nothing to lose. You know, he really should have that mentality. I think he's you know, I think he's going to have that mentality going in. Like, you know, I'm the B-side, nobody's expecting me to win, and you know, I'm just gonna go for broke. So a loss would hurt him, but I don't think it would hurt him terribly because he's in a very good spot to where I'm just gonna move back down to 130 and defend my title, you know, because he's still champ at 130. So he really does have, you know, a solid backup plan if he loses, something to fall back on. He's still a world champion at the weight class below, And yeah, I mean, I don't think a loss is going to devastate him unless he goes out there and gets like knocked out in a couple rounds, you know. Then maybe that's a little different when you get your ass beat like that. But you know, say he gets knocked out later on in the fight, but it's competitive, which I think it will be, you know, or loses a decision, I don't think it's going to devastate his career whatsoever. Now, final two questions, or final two things we get to. First, is it better for boxing if Tank Davis wins this fight or Hector Luis Garcia? Well, it's way better for Tank Davis. I mean, Tank Davis is better for boxing right now. He's a star. He's undefeated. He's got that knockout power. He's been an attraction for years now, and he's about to hit that highest level with the fight with Ryan Garcia looming. So absolutely, it's way bigger for boxing if Tank wins. But it wouldn't be bad to see a guy like Hector Luis Garcia throw his name into the serious mix. But again, way better, way bigger for boxing and better for boxing if Tank Davis wins the fight. And finally, my prediction, who do I think is going to win the lightweight secondary title fight here between Tank Davis and Hector Luis Garcia? Somebody's has got to go, and I think Tank Davis knows what he's doing by picking a guy like Garcia. Even though he's giving up the height advantage to Garcia, I think Tank knows what he's doing. I think he's going to get in there. I think he's gonna try to hurt Garcia. He's gonna bust him up. I definitely don't think it's gonna be an easy task, but I think he either gets him out of there late in the fight, or they go to the scorecards and Tank wins a comfortable but not a blowout decision win and retains his secondary belt. But this is one of those ones where I think he's fighting a very live underdog, a hungry fighter in Garcia, and I could absolutely see this Garcia defeating Tank Davis and pulling off the upset. But I'm going to go with the favorite. I'm taking Tank in this one by either a late stoppage or a decision win, as he will retain his secondary lightweight title and push forward towards the mega fight with Ryan Garcia. So I hope everybody enjoyed this video. This was the Davis versus Garcia breakdown video, Hector Luis Garcia. If you did, smash the like button, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. I appreciate any and all support. This is True Boxing. You've been hit with the truth.